Hi.
I know.
Hi. Sitting here, the first thing that comes through for me, for you, is one guide. I can see and feel that you have more guides, but I guess I'm going to talk to one right now. And I do have two energies coming through as loved ones as well. So this clearing is going to start out a little bit into the mediumship, and then we're going to step into clearing instead of vice versa. So when it comes to the guide, they're very much focused on this is not somebody that you knew in life, and they're very much focused on you and your forward momentum, what you have on your plate now, what you're going to have on your plate the first and the second quarter of next year. They want to make sure everything goes through the way it's supposed to go through with no blocks. And in the loved ones category, I have a male coming through and I have a female coming through. Male is not pushing through much. He says he already has a lot of communication with you, so that works, and it's through a different channel. He's actually just here in support always. And then the female coming through is a little bit more involved, we'll say. She's coming through on your mom's side of the family. I'd put her as shorter and opinionated in the best way possible. That's what I'm going to say. Like the kindest way possible, but she's got to make sure that she hears it. And there's a set of 3 women back there. Now, I'm not looking at your mom's line of the family. I'm looking at your grandmother's line of the family. And there's a set of 3 women that are like a team. It's kind of interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me see what their reason is for coming with the clearing. Okay. They're talking about over the last 8 to 10 months. There's been a little bit more, you're going from isolation to non-isolation, and not in a bad way, but it looks like you're going to be building more friendships. Like in the next 4 months, you'll have 2 to 3 times more friendships than you had 10 months ago. And it's specifically with women, it looks like, because these 3 women, that's what their whole power is the pack of women, not maternal, what's the word I'm looking for, matriarch type thing, getting the women together and whatnot. But you have a couple of really, really strong bonds coming up for women in the near future. There's been a lack of female connection friendships in the last 10 months. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's a part of what you need. So they're here for you for that. Okay. Yeah, if I didn't know any better, 1 is your grandmother, and then 2 is her sidekicks. That's like the best way that I can explain it to you. You got like sidekicks over there. So, and if this is indeed your grandmother, because that's the position she's standing in, there is a very simple but intense love of life. There is no, her energy would not deny you from knowing exactly what emotion she was going through. I want to put it that way.
Got it.
You'll know she's angry. She doesn't hide it. And this is what it is, and it's very real. But the cool part of that is being around somebody like that in life. You always know where everything's at, where you stand, which is really cool. A very secure feeling. I have dueling things going on. I'm going to go back to the guide because we're going to focus on the clearing. I could talk to grandma all day.
My mother's side. My mother's side, Isabeau, you said?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's coming through on your left side of the family, so it's the mom's side of the family. There feels like a really heavy involvement in middle school. What's below middle school? Elementary school, middle school. That's where there's, anyway, I could talk to her for hours. So let's go to the guide because we're focusing on doing clearings. There are actually, he wants to talk about 2 different locations. He knows that, and we know that you do work out of a home office, but there's actually a discussion about another location that needs to be brought into your world and your light and everything else outside of the home. I don't see anything wrong with the home office at all. Just keep in mind that you need to generate another one, and it's going to be very different. It's not going to be in an office building. It's going to be in something really different, really unique, like a yurt, or I mean, it's going to be something really much more sacred than that, and they can see that coming, and so they want you to not worry about it, but know that that'll come next year. Okay, so being a home office, I'm looking at your office, and for some reason it gets sectioned off from the rest of the house, like cornered off and sectioned off from the rest of the house, almost as if you've set up energetic grids around it. So when you go into it, it's just that. Did you do energy work to bubble it, or to seal it up?
No.
Okay, well then let's do that.
Okay. Yes,
When I see your home office, it's as if when you walk into it, everything else disappears. It's like you walk through almost like a field, and a force field type thing, and everything else just disappears. So let's make sure that we do that. I do have a water source. So if I'm looking at your house directly, I have a water source on the side that the energy's being pulled in and actually building and helping. I know that we're doing a clearing session here. I don't see a lot to clear because your place is really, really, really filled with love, which is cool. And you're following your passion, and that kind of radiates off of you. But for some reason, you have a very strong connection to water. And so there's a water source on one side of the property that's being pulled in toward your property. So you're actually pulling energy from water to kind of keep this whole thing moving and moving and moving and moving. Okay. Are you in a single family home?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not, because I don't feel apartment complex. I feel single family. Do you have like a loner tree in your yard? Like a tree that's just by itself?
We got several of them, but yeah.
Okay. All right, well then let me be more specific, because I've got this like loner tree that there is a grounding energy. So it's almost as if that's where the ground is for the property, where the grounding is for all the energy that flows through the property. And it's this one loner tree, and it's this really cool tree.
I know exactly the tree.
Okay, because there's nothing else around it. It's that one, and it's been brought to, and so you've got this grounding tree. You've got a water source that goes under and comes through energetically your house, which is good. You've got quite the setup. The next step is to take all of these pieces, put them into place, and then let them flow even smoother and stronger and smoother and stronger. I don't see anything negative around that situation. Okay. Your guide is talking about having 3 things on your plate right now, not just 1 or 2, but having 3. One is really, really, really long project. One is about 4 or 5 months, and one is not pressing on you right now. These are all work oriented as well. So these are all spiritually based. The long-term project I can see is probably what you're building right now, what you're working on right in this moment. But there's another project to be dealt with for about 5 or 6 months, starting very soon, actually.
Could that be a second book?
It could be, because it's not like, it doesn't involve a ton of people. And it's one of those things where I felt like saying, hey, dive in, focus, get it done, and then you're done. But it looks to be like 6 or 7 months. And on top of that, to help you figure out if this is the book, 6 or 7 months to you would sound like a quick time, would sound quick to you. Okay, so if 6 or 7 months sounds quick, like, wow, can't get that done in 6 or 7 months, it is the book. Because it feels like this project is one that you're going to get done faster than you thought you would. It'll be way easier. And you're also not going to run into as many roadblocks as you had before either, because everybody's already ready for it to come. So that one's coming up. So they kind of, and you know what the interesting feel behind it? This one is, it's like a guide is saying, you wouldn't mind, would you? Like, I know you're busy and all, but you wouldn't mind, would you? So that tells me that you really kind of don't want to put this on your plate right now. You'd like to be able to push it a little bit. They respect that, but they're kindly asking you to do that.
And of course,
yes, of course they are. Of course they are. They love that about. Okay, so the long term is, I believe, the holistic campus. The 6-7 months looks like the book, and there's another one that is just going to sort of be stagnant's not the right word. It's going to be in the background. It actually looks more like I've got all my symbols for teaching and education on your part, meaning you're learning something, but it's in the background. It doesn't have to do with any of this forefront out in public stuff that you're doing. It's something that you are collecting knowledge and information and learning something behind the scenes. So it seems a little bit more personal than anything else. Have you yet met your teacher guide?
Not officially.
Not officially. Okay. Have you been made aware of them?
Yes, I understand there are 12, and I've named them Clarence.
Good. Somebody else ripped that Band-Aid off for you.
Oh, I lost you.
There strikes me as one that's ready to sit down with you and teach. So. Yeah.
Isabeau, we can you go back a second, because we faded out there for a second. So you said rip the Band-Aid off, and then I didn't hear after that. Rip
the Band-Aid off. I'm glad somebody told you that you had 12. And yeah, they're saying it's time for you to go into another series of education, another series of learning more in-depth knowledge. But what's interesting is you're learning it just for you, and not necessarily as something for the world. Do you know what I mean? You're learning it for you. You're learning it so you understand some things. So then when you bring stuff out to the world, you'll understand why.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So one of your guides is ready to work with you, whether that's a meditation session, you got the tree in the yard going, come sit by me, whatever. Whatever that is, they're ready for you to sit with them on a regular basis and learn. So grab a notebook.
Okay. Oh, yay.
Yeah. It's really important, according to them, that you understand some of the inner workings of what's around you. And you already have taken a huge leap of understanding a lot of stuff that you didn't know before. They want you to get back to it. There's even more now. So, and they're also talking about a calling, sort of a calling or kind of a drawing toward children. Have you been introduced to, I don't know how to ask that question otherwise. Okay. Don't be surprised if you start to have a curiosity and a pull toward the energetics around children. If that starts to come in, it's going to be, I believe, part of your training on how energetics works with children versus how it works with grown adults versus how it works with animals, et cetera, et cetera. But there's something important to the child piece as well. Yeah, I mean, I can see that actually turning into an entire branch off of something just focused on kids.
Oh, wow. I brought that into Holistic Campus as a part of it.
Yeah, the kid thing is definitely a part of it. Yeah. The only other thing that they're showing me is they're showing me a bowl of water. It seems kind of shallow, and it has something in the bottom very very close to like a stone. I think it's stones actually in the bottom of it, and it looks like a cleansing and a healing ritual. In the last year, have you been introduced to stones and using them?
A little bit, yes. I haven't studied a lot about it, but I was introduced to a ritual using a shallow bowl of water.
Okay. If you were introduced to that in the last year, okay. incorporate that and bring it back in. So it looks like it might have been an introduction, but maybe you didn't apply it or you're not using it. I don't know, but they're saying bring it in and use it because it's actually a really powerful one for you. Sage is powerful for some people. Chant is powerful for some people. They're saying whatever this ritual is powerful for you. However, it doesn't have to be done exactly the way it was introduced to you. You can change it up a little bit because the reason why you weren't completely drawn to it is that it wasn't laid out exactly to fit your system.
Okay.
So use the shallow bowl, but get creative with it, and then you'll know, like it'll radiate right through you when you do it and it works for you. You'll be like, okay, this is it. But that's going to be one of your unique go-to what's the word I'm looking for? Rituals.
Okay. All right.
So keep that in mind and try to bring that back in. Okay. Just doing another quick little scan to see if there's anything else. They're talking about a deadline that was set for March 2018. This is your guide again. All into your business.
I appreciate all the help, I'll tell you.
It's like, could you let her know this? I'm like, okay. There's a mental deadline set for March for a next step. So my gut is telling me it's for the holistic campus. Launching in January, that you may have thought, okay, in March, then I'm going to take this step. They'd like you to just push that out another month without any disappointment. So if you were going to, for example, add more people or start offering A, B, or C, like in March, April, they're saying just push it just one more month because then it'll be really, really good. And no disappointment in pushing it back a little bit, but they just want you to focus on that. And yes, thumbs up to the idea as well. Okay, the last little piece coming through, because like I said, you've built yourself an energetic, beautiful space. The last little piece coming through is something over the doorway in your office. Something up and adorned over the doorway in the office. It's interesting too, because it's not like Buddhist flags or anything like that. It feels more like a blessing of some sort, or flowers or leaves or a sign or something like that. But they're talking about bringing that into your office space.
Well, I have one up there right now. It says Imagine on it, but.
Okay. Over the door?
Oh.
Okay. When you put that up there, that's when you set up the space in the room. Because I was like, she didn't set the space up in the room is what she's saying. And they said, well, no, she did. And then they showed me up over the door like an inspirational thing surrounded the office in this like beautiful white bubble. So every time you went in, the work was, the rest of the world fell away and you could just energetically focus on work. And because I was asking them, okay, do we need to set this bubble up? And they said, no, she did. And in my head, I said, no, she said she didn't. So they were like, no, really, she did. And that's when they showed me the item over the door. So the placement of that over the door was your moment of doing that, even though you didn't know you did it consciously, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, okay, good. Do you have any questions?
No, I want to make sure I'm doing everything I need to do to get this little community going. Are we on the right track?
When I do clearings, there's a couple things that I tell people at the end of the clearing. First off, we do sort of a swoop out of any negative or, hanging off energy that you don't want, and we kind of clear the house of that. If there's a lot of negative energy in the house that gets cleared out, a person may for the next day or two feel or experience a feeling of emptiness. And that can be felt initially as not right, but it's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of a hollow feeling for 24 hours after the clearing, because you have to fill that energy back up with your energy. Somebody else's energy. And, like a lot of other practitioners type work, drinking a lot of water also helps to balance your system because you're in an energetic space that was just altered for the positive, and fill the space up with love and laughter, and fill it even more. When it comes to moving forward too, a lot of times, many times when I do clearing, give a practice of some sort, whether it be smudging or saltwater spray or whatnot. For you, that's going to be that shallow bowl, and bringing that shallow bowl out again and saying, this is what I want, and I'm putting the intention into it, and then letting that radiate and take away and give as it's supposed to. So for you, that would be your task moving forward if you want to balance your space or your energy. But good news, I don't see anything really harmful coming into you, that's for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And thanks for doing this with me. I absolutely love doing clearings. So.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Isabeau.
Yes. Mwah.
Take care.
Bye.